For April the 2nd, 2021, we talk about Outriders, Pummel Party, and we ask you to pitch game characters pitching things. Welcome to Level 365. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm David Mysmith.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Guys, I'm halfway vaccinated.
Hell yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Oh, sweet. Cool. Did you, it's funny because like vaccination conversations are kind of played. Just like everybody's having them, but also I feel it's important to just like talk about it as much as you can. So there is like normalization and social pressure to it, you know? Yeah.
Dude,
so
I have the opposite problem. I want to get vaccinated, but I can't. I got to wait another month.
You're the first person I've heard that, not to social pressure you, but that has had trouble with that. So many other people have been like, yeah, I managed to get a vaccination before I thought I would.
Yeah,
I guess
I'm theoretically getting it tomorrow.
Damn. Should I be trying to like be more ruthless about this?
You should be searching in red counties, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But sorry, Cole, you were
well,
talking about your vaccination.
I was surprised to hear that like New York didn't have it, like they didn't lower the age for vaccination below like 50 until today or something like that.
To be fair, the governor has other problems.
Yeah, like being a huge dick. I don't like that guy very much. No, our county, I was actually really heartened by this because my county is very red. It's like blood red. You know, I live in Jim Jordan's district, and for that I apologize. I did the best I could. No, we did like they threw just like a countywide inoculation day over at the fairgrounds. And, I just went and showed up as early as I could. And there were a bunch of people there and nobody was like grousing. Nobody was making a scene. And it moved very quickly. Like the longest part of the process was the 15-minute wait to see if I would blow up like a balloon and die. But yeah, like it was super great. I love when society functions, when there's like a civically organized event, like, so I was really happy about that. So I got the first dose of my Moderna vaccine and they're holding a second event in a month and I just go back, get another stick. And then I should be good in 2 weeks after that.
Sweet.
See, I got Pfizer, and I'm determined to turn Moderna versus Pfizer into the next Mario versus Sonic. So mine is totally better than yours, or something.
So is yours Mario or Sonic?
I plead the fifth.
I saw somebody. This was like a tweet or something on Facebook, but somebody said Moderna versus Pfizer versus Johnson & Johnson has some really big instinct, spirit, and like Pokemon Go, the different gyms or guilds that you have in that, right? Has big Pokemon Go gym vibes, right?
Sure, yeah.
And we can all agree that the Johnson & Johnson one is the yellow one, right?
Whoa, harsh.
Yeah.
So by which you mean the best
and,
one?
Fall Guys as well.
No, I was Team Instinct. I like the yellow one because I like Zapdos a lot. But I mean, in terms of just the one that people look down on, But did you go like a pharmacy, Dennis, or did you?
Yeah, I drove out to a Kroger that was like 40 minutes away that had it in their clinic.
Then
and it was wonderfully uneventful. During my 15-minute wait, because I was in a Kroger, I just went shopping.
Oh, nice.
And the checkout ladies were kind of joking, like, "Oh yeah, it's this is our big marketing play that the people get their shots here, and then they all go and buy a ton of shit because they can't leave for 15 minutes." But yeah, I treated myself to some blueberry donuts. That was
cool,
delectable. And are halfway there.
Nice.
I'm still maintaining. I think they just need to get those like dart guns from Jurassic Park, fill them up with vaccine, and let them loose in some of the anti-vaxxer places.
Yeah. I mean,
has to be like a Mr. Freeze gun.
Just inhale the vaccine vapor. Yeah. Well, it was definitely heartening to get that done. Is your arm hurting, Dennis?
It did the first day. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it subsided in 24 hours, but I definitely like waking up the next day was like, what the, it's a thing.
No, mine started hurting about an hour afterwards, and it's about as sore today as it was yesterday, but it's not like debilitatingly so.
Just so that you constantly notice it.
Yeah, or just if you move your arm in a weird way, you notice it. Overall, it's been a very pleasant experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's what I got going on. Hey Ben, what are you up to? The not getting back. What are you doing with the time where you're not getting vaccines?
Driving me through them. Yeah. Now I'm considering like trying to get more. Well, that's the thing. It's like I don't want to jump ahead and stuff. And so what they're doing in Washington is I think tomorrow they're opening it up for all people who are like frontline workers. Of like anyone 16 and older, frontline workers type people, and anybody who has like 2 or more comorbidities. But then everyone else has to wait until like May 1st, I believe. So it's like another month. So they might bring it up. I've already signed up like a long time ago they have a program set up where they'll like text you when you're ready after you take like a survey of nice. What your situation is. But I have a friend who she works at a food truck, so she's getting back sometime like this weekend. So I don't know, just dreaming about vaccines. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a relief. It really is.
Yeah.
David, how about you? What you up to? Doesn't have to be vaccine related.
Well, I'm hopefully getting the vaccine tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
Ta-da!
So, that's, my parents actually came and visited this past weekend because they've gotten the full round of vaccines, so nice. Have a little bit more freedom to travel. So that was fun.
Cool.
Other than that, just, bobbing and weaving.
Yeah. Was that their first time in Huntsville? Or had they come visit?
No, they visited when I lived here before, but that's their first time since I've moved down here this time.
Nice. Well, that's cool.
What do you do when it's like, we're not going to go out on the town necessarily?
So there's
my apartment and talk.
Yeah, there's a number of restaurants that had like outdoor dining, so we did that, and then went to a local like artist community thing. So, and then did a little bit of hiking.
Very cool. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, that sounds nice. And Dennis, any non-vaccination stuff?
Did I talk about taking training wheels off last week? I can't remember.
No, that's a big day.
Yeah, it was a big day. Yeah. So training wheels came off the bikes for both kids.
What?
And they took right to it. Yeah. Milo picks physical things up pretty quick. So he's given Luke a run for his money, or in this case, a ride for his money. But we have barely any traffic on our street. And so once they kind of had their sea legs, I went out with chalk and like drew gates and like a racetrack for them.
Awesome.
Over the course of like half a block. And these kids are like, 6-year-old Chinese gymnasts not afraid to fall on these bikes going around this track.
Nice.
Like Milo is doing some like MotoGP style shit where he's like leaning over so far into turns that his pedals are scraping along the ground.
Oh,
so the kid is like, I wasn't brave enough to do that in 5 years on a bike. I don't know what he's doing, but he was all about it. So we spent. Oh,
he doesn't have a concept that he is that he can be hurt.
Yeah, once the training wheels are off and you realize, oh, this thing stands up on its own, you assume it always does that.
Yeah.
But like they're constantly falling down on the bike. So the fact that he just is like in it. Really leaning into the turns. He even wiped out on the turn a couple times. but it was kind of a funny moment of like, man, all my Trackmania track design philosophies are coming to a head here.
Nice.
And I thought I had a pretty good layout. And then it rained a couple days later, so I get to go out now and replace that.
Go out and revise it.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you putting your Trackmania skills to use here?
Yeah, I gotta have flips and jump them upside down in the next one, building some wooden structures to.
Yeah, that seems legit.
Should I delete this in case it ends up being Exhibit A?
Yeah. No, I think I would deserve it if that was the case. Yeah, but that's been a blast, and I've been amazed how quickly they picked it up. It was like riding a bike.
Yeah. As somebody who has never not been afraid of the ball, just kind of just from the earliest memory, like I am envious and think that it is a good thing that your kids are not afraid of being hurt, because I was a very timid child and think, oh, they're probably gonna run into not as many problems as I did. Yeah, or different ones. Who knows?
We've definitely abided by the principle of like, if you don't acknowledge, they don't feel it.
Right. They look to you to know if they should be concerned.
Was I hurt, Daddy? I
Yeah.
don't see any bones. You're all right.
Yeah.
To the point where though I feel it gets me in trouble sometimes, because I was out chatting with a neighbor and who was also out, and just catching up with him in the driveway while my kids are riding around, and Milo just completely ate asphalt right in front of us. Just like baff. and like, I didn't acknowledge it. Like, I saw that it was a rough hit, but he wasn't bleeding or anything.
Yeah.
So I just kept on right on talking, and it was clear like this other guy was like, should we and then he's like,
look him,
you look like you got your hands full. I gotta. He like, I'm like,
you
fine.
look him.
I mean,
dead.
as long as there's no blood.
Yeah. No blood, no foul.
But I'm pretty sure he thinks I'm a psycho now.
You look him dead in the eye. You hold him there. You lock him with your presence, and you tell him resilience is the biggest predictor of success.
Yeah.
And then the emotion
That
goes
and a
back
red
into your
tie.
face. Yeah. So.
I don't coddle my kids.
Yeah, right. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Cool. Well, also a lot of fun is doing this show, which we're going to do with the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss, like we usually do. So why don't we get started with The Grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. Ben, I'm going to put you on the spot. What you got first, bud?
You put me on the spot indeed. I haven't even preloaded my memory for this segment.
Oh boy.
I'll talk about Loop Hero first, because that's one that I can actually talk about. I've continued playing that a little bit. I got to the Necromancer class that David mentioned. That class is awesome. It owns bones.
Quite literally.
Literally.
Yeah. So the idea of the class is like, instead of attacking at a certain frequency, you summon a monster if it's available.
Okay.
If you have a slot available at a certain frequency, and then if all the slots are filled up, then you default to like your baby like hit or whatever that doesn't really do much. But then the things that you summon, they'll attack people with, and they have their own stats as far as like how often they do. I think there's like 3 tiers for skeletons. Maybe there's more if you upgrade it even more, but I've only seen 3. And they kind of have like, I guess I think of them in terms of like Magic, where it looks like it's like a 3-1, a 2-2, and a 1-3 in terms of stats, or maybe like a 3-1, 1-1, 1-3, if that makes sense to anyone who plays Magic. It's like one's like high attack, low defense.
Do I need to like put a wallet in your mouth so you don't swallow your tongue? What are you talking about?
Oh, like
3, 1, 1,
so
2,
in Magic, the stats for a creature is like your attack and your defense, pretty much.
Okay.
So like a 1-3 is like they deal 1 damage if they attack someone, but they have like 3 hit points.
Gotcha.
So they can take that much damage. Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's fine. It kind of sounded like you were on autopilot for that. It was like a Manchurian Candidate programming kind of thing.
Yeah. All right. Numbers guy.
So,
but oh yeah, go ahead.
so One thing that is relevant with that is some of them do have some slightly different behavior. For example, the defensive enemy or the defensive summon, if it's out, enemies will always focus on that.
Yeah.
Because one of the big problems is you can get in situations where you could easily win a fight, except that the enemies will like focus fire on you. And
yes.
Yeah.
Especially like the bird from the mountains. Yeah, that is quite annoying when that happens. Or it's like you got a full crew of like 4 people, but everything just attacks you and they ignore all your minions. You're like, son of a bitch. But conversely, it's like you get how I won the boss fight for I think both boss fights is I just had really high was it attack speed? So I unlocked the forest cards, which if you plant those grounds in the space, they increase your attack time. So I basically got my attack to about 200% or so. And so the idea is I would just spawn minions like extremely quickly. And so even if they cut them down, they'll just come up again. And then like I did things where it's like there are perks you can unlock as you gain levels. So I had one where it's like if I take damage, I share it with all the minions that are out. So I'm only taking like 1/5 of damage. And then if a skeleton dies, then I heal from it. And so it's like so as long as things are targeting my minions and killing them, then I'm like pretty unstoppable.
Yeah.
And so I went through and beat 2 of the bosses with that. So I'm on the 3rd one now. It appears as if like each boss that you go, it's like slightly harder difficulty in terms of like the regular enemies will start off at a little bit higher level. So it's kind of like easy, medium, hard mode type thing. It looks like. I haven't gotten past that one yet. I've built, I think, so I built the wood path and I built the library, but I haven't built like the upgraded one. I haven't built anything else that's up at the top in terms of what you can build in your town. But yeah, like library forest strat seemed pretty OP, where you just plant forests and I think you just kind of stall with your development by just doing that, and you just trade out your cards for forests at the library. Yeah, so that was kind of fun. Do you know if there's any classes beyond the necromancer or the rogue or the first one?
I think those are the last ones, although I don't know. I think it seems to me like each class that gets unlocked, there's more things you can do with it. Because, like, at least for me, like, the warrior, I don't know, I could never really get to have much in the way of synergy. I kind of just took whatever and tried to make numbers go up.
Yeah.
Whereas the rogue, you can definitely do things like, build evasion, build stuff like that. And then the necromancer, you can do a lot of crazy stuff. Like, have you tried maxing out the number of skeletons you can get?
Yeah, I think the most I've ever gotten was like 4. I think 4 out at once.
Okay, so you've not gotten any of the like ranged ones.
Maybe I've gotten that once or twice. I've seen that happen before, but I didn't know why it was happening.
Yeah, so basically, if you fill up all the available spots for melee summons, you'll start summoning ranged units.
Okay, that makes sense. It was only happening like every so often because I had the perk where the last one has like a 1 in 5 chance of spawning another one.
Oh, okay, sure.
You know? So I think that was appearing then, but I didn't understand why. And what was also confusing about it too is I built the turrets near the campfire. So if you get in a fight and spot next to that, then you have people that attack in that same way. And so I thought it might have been related to that, but I was confused. So okay, cool. That's good to know.
The other thing I like doing with that is going with like get rid of the the meadows and the mountains and just build a ton of deserts.
Oh, okay. So that everybody has low HP?
Right, because that only affects physical HP, not magic HP.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Is this all like an allegory for how corporatization causes us to make decisions that are bad for the environment?
No, not at all.
So much more efficient to just nuke
I
everything in
am
the
not
desert.
entirely sure the game isn't going to pull stuff like that because it every so often gets really weird.
Yeah, I was very surprised by the tree enemies, which I encountered since last weekend now, where they just don't attack; they just have counter. So, like when you attack them, you hurt yourself.
Have you run into them while playing as the first class yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, they have special dialogue if you're playing as the warrior and you fight them.
Interesting. Yeah, so I mean, it seems like those are like absolutely nothing against the summoner or the necromancer, though, because it's like, I don't care if these guys die, I'll just summon a new one. If you're not attacking me, we're good. But then there's like weird situations where I think they get defense up for every time someone attacks them. And so I got into situations where I had spawned all my people, but their defense was so high that it wasn't doing anything, but then my people weren't dying enough. So my main hero would result to attacking because all the summon spots were filled, and then he would hurt himself like significantly. And I'm like, come on, dudes, don't attack, just chill, just summon.
Yeah, so those enemies are devastating against the other two classes.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting, like kind of shows like the mechanic of the game where it's like you can't directly control your character. You just have to kind of shape the lanes to guide them in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This game's kind of fun. But like I'm not sure how much more legs there are to it. Have you beaten the third boss, Dave? Do you know if there's
I have not yet.
Okay. So I'm not sure what's past that or not. But yeah, I'm not sure what's like left in the game. I don't know like how deep it's going to go compared to other games like Slay the Spire. I mean, my guess is it's nowhere near as deep, especially if it's like if this is the ceiling that I'm already hitting, where I'm on the last boss, and if I've unlocked the last class. But there will probably be like DLC updates to it, so there will probably be more content to it later as well.
So that begs a really good question of like, is it okay for a game to kind of have this really cool idea that's good for, whatever, 3 or 4 playthroughs, and then you're kind of like, okay, I've seen everything here, or do you expect that a game will be as replayable as Slay the Spire is?
I mean, it depends like on the price of the game and kind of how they're selling it, right? Like in this case, I think it's a game like $20.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, for something like that, I don't think I have. Yeah, it's only like 15 right now on Steam, so I think that's completely fair for the game to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I mean it's like decently well polished in the sense that like the music's really good and like, yeah, I mean there's like a decent amount of like complication to the mechanics and stuff that it's not like a simple game or anything. So.
It's also, once you get kind of later into the unlocks, if you're trying to go for that, you get to points where you kind of need to optimize your run for what sort of resources you're trying to unlock.
Mm-hmm.
In particular, there's one resource that only drops or predominantly drops if you're fighting 4 more enemies at once.
I see.
And then there's one resource that is fairly rare and only drops from some of the enemies that you generally have to purposely put together certain features in the map to make them spawn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will say, comparing this game to Slay the Spire, which I'm not sure if it's a fair comparison or not, I think the one thing that's really nice about Slay the Spire is they always limit the number of things you can choose between, right? Like at any given choice in that game, you usually have like 2 or 3 things you choose between. Like which of these 3 cards do you want to add to your deck? Which of these 3 directions do you want to go? That sort of thing. Loop here is the exact opposite, where it's like, here's the entire game, or you can unlock new features, but it's like, here's your entire deck. Figure out what you want to build with it up front if you want. And honestly, I think it's the Slay the Spire way is like a little bit better as far as like learning curve goes, where it's like it's a lot easier for you to ramp up and kind of figure out the mechanics of the game and figure out like why things are good. So maybe it's not like a strictly this is better or this is worse, but with Loop Hero, there's more like, I guess, random aha discoveries, when you just like tinker around with them, that can be cool. But like, even like right now with like Loop Hero, like all the buildings in the town, I have a very like low understanding of what each of them do and like how they could interact with one another, even if they could. Like there's the supply type stuff. Like, have you messed around with that at all, David?
I mean, I've unlocked the ability to do it, and I'm slowly getting some of them. I've not. So there's only, I guess, to say basically what it is in addition to getting crafting resources drops, you can have items drop. They're like tools for your villagers and stuff that provide minor benefits.
Yeah. So for instance, it might be like a hammer or a potion shelf or something like that.
Right. And it's, for example, like the one of them's a handful of nails, and it's every time an enemy attacks you, they take 1 damage.
Mm-hmm.
And go on.
So these are like meta perks that you have like during your run. But there's like a weird thing where it's like each of these items go in like a section of the village. So it's like, I don't know, like the kitchen or something, or the workroom and stuff like that. But then it's like space limited, where it's like you can only have 6 of these things overall. But it's like, so you could have all 6 of these like kitchen items, or all 6 of these like woodworking room items or something like that. It's kind of weird. There's a similar boundary on the deck building that you have too, where it's like your deck needs to be like within this range of like 7 to 12 cards, and then within each row of these cards, it needs to have within the range, so like either exactly 2 or like 2 to 4 or something like that. All of it seems kind of arbitrary, or like I don't know. I guess I don't know how I feel about it yet. I don't know if it's like a good or bad decision, but it just seems kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, I the 2 things I have seen is, as I've been trying to optimize more, there's definitely some things where not having the required things would probably break the thing. So, for example, for the necromancer, you probably wouldn't ever want to have any sort of basic land tile other than the forest, except that forces you to have at least 2.
Well, yeah, but like as you mentioned, like desert doesn't seem that bad, right?
See, and that's the thing. Desert is not that bad, but it's definitely inferior to forest.
Yeah.
And then also the thing I have seen is some of the tools you can get, those kind of meta perks. At least most of them seem fairly basic. Some of them are like, help with grinding, but I've seen, 1 or 2 that seem like they could actually be something you could build a run around. Most notably, there's a building you can unlock that will cause basically lightning to strike, random enemies every couple seconds in battle.
Awesome.
And
so
including you. And awesome. There's one of these items I found, I think it's like a mirror or something, that has a 6% chance to reflect that lightning if it targets you. So I could see a run where you just unlock nothing or equip nothing but mirrors and just build your entire run around like maximizing this stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe there's more content there, and I'm still scratching the surface, but I don't know.
Well, at a certain point, how good and game breaking do you need to get at a game? Like, if your level of competency lets you get to the boss, best the boss with some regularity, even if you could get that much better at thrashing everything in your path, does that equal fun?
Only because, well, I don't know if I'm directly answering this or not, but only because it's memory. I thought Dyson Sphere program of like you thinking that you've done everything you can do in the game, and then have it like open up a whole new thing, and then it like completely changes. Like, oh, now I got to think on this scale and got to do this sort of thing. And then when you think you're done with that, then you have to do something else that's like much bigger. I thought that was really a good example of a game doing that, where like the mechanics like evolve, and like I don't think the same thing will happen here as much, but yeah, I don't know.
I apologize for not having more questions about this. I went to look to see if there was a Switch, like a date for a Switch port, because that seems like a really good fit for this. And the first article,
it's certainly coming.
Yeah, with how successful it is, and just generally people clamoring for a Switch port. The first article, like the first, outside of the banner image, it has an image of Into the Breach. And I was like, oh, is this the Into the Breach team? That's crazy. I looked at it, and the caption said, Into the Breach is another indie game that came to consoles later. It's like,
thanks.
Cool. Thumbs up, buddy.
That was half of somebody's workday is writing that article.
Oh God.
The deadline is at noon and it's 11:55. They're like, fuck this.
People are searching for Loop Hero Switch. We need to make sure we're at the top of the results page.
Yeah. So I don't think I have too much more to say about the game. I think it's for sure. I think I have 18 hours on record. So I mean, it's like a good. I don't necessarily think it has the depth of Slay the Spire, but I'll probably keep playing it like off and on for a little bit.
Yeah.
Till I kind of find all the corners or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I want to move on and talk about other things.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about like 3 small things and then one game that maybe I want to spend a little bit more time on.
Okay.
So real small, quick hits. I played a little bit of What the Golf. That game's pretty fun. That game came out forever ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I want to say about it. I played a game called Carto. Carto is this weird game. I just saw it advertised. It's this like weird puzzle game where you're on like a tile-based map, and then the main mechanic is when you press tab, you go to this like map overlay where you can pull all the tiles of the map out and like rotate them and reorganize them. The only rule is that like land masses have to match up against one another. So if you have an ocean tile and you put it up next to something else, that has to match like an ocean tile, or if grass versus grass. If there's like a road on a tile, it has to line up with the road on the other tile, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And the entire game's built around that mechanic. So I thought it had potential to be kind of interesting. It does like have like a narrative, like it's a very narrative based game in terms of like, you know, meeting new characters and stuff like that. However, I just kind of bounced off of it. I only spent like 2 hours on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like maybe if you have like kids, it might be a good game to play with kids or something like that. But the puzzles aren't that complicated, and it's like the loop is pretty predictable. It's like you move puzzles around. A character gives you more puzzle pieces, you move them around, and it's not like it's no like The Witness type game where it's like there's not a lot of depth to the mechanic at all. So.
Steven Sausage Roll, it ain't.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, don't want to spend too much time on it.
Though. I like the art style quite a bit.
Yeah, the art style is cool, and it looks charming. Again, I think it would be good if you had like that. It's like a nice, like sweet looking game.
Mm-hmm.
All right, a game that I spent even less time on and want to talk about less. A game called Infra, which is this like weird, like Steam, like what's it called? Like Source type game where it's like made in that.
Okay.
Where you play as like a city inspector, or as you go around and like take pictures of things. I've only played this for like an hour, so I don't have much to say about it.
Okay,
it's just kind of a weird game, and it's I don't know.
I want a version for a penny.
Wait, what does that mean?
It can be in for a penny.
Yeah.
Man, dude, are you having another kid, Dennis? Like, dad jokes have amplified this week. I shouldn't have even mentioned this game because I have like literally nothing to say about it. I want to talk about this last game that I want to talk about is Pummel Party.
Pummel Party.
Yeah. Pummel Party. Have you guys heard of Pummel Party?
I mean, aside from the ones that my brother gave me when I was age, let's say 4 to 14, no.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that kind of. It's that emotionally scarring, but it's with your friends instead of your family.
Okay.
No, this game is basically just like Mario Party, but Pummel Party.
Oh, it looks like a Fusion Frenzy is what it looks like.
Yeah, it's not far from that. The only difference is there's a lot more jank in this game. They realized that
I didn't think it was possible.
They realized that it's okay to have like a really shitty mini game as long as the shittiness affects everyone equally.
Yeah.
So, like for example, there's like this mini game you play where you're a plane and you're like trying to fly through rings and stuff, but the controls are like god awful. Like first of all, it's inverted, but I don't actually mind that with planes, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But it's like one joystick controls just whether you go up or down or whether you like rotate to the right or left, and then the other joystick actually like rotates the plane as if you were actually flying a plane.
Right.
And so maybe that doesn't sound hard, but in practice, it is like a pretty rough experience.
It's technically more accurate based on like the way that planes fly, because like you generally don't rudder turn,
Yeah.
like the way that you would do a sharp turn, or the way that I do when I'm playing like a flight sim game, is you do a roll and then pull your yaw up. So yeah.
Another example of a shitty mini game is they have one where it's like racer, where you're a toy car racing around a house, but like you're drifting the entire time, and so it's like, so it's like Mario Kart if you always had that jump, like if you had always done the jump, where you're like turning really weirdly around corners and stuff like that, and like they purposely have like dead ends on the track where you like run into them and you have to like turn around. Anyway,
you know what that sounds like? There was people. These games are jokes, and probably rightfully so, but they were actually pretty fun. That sounds a lot like the Burger King game, Pocket Bike Racers. Yeah. That was a fun game. One? Yeah, the Pocket Bike one. Yeah, the Pocket Bike one, where you were driving around on these small bikes, and it was really drifty, and the tracks were kind of gotcha.
Yeah, Ben, I have to say, these just sound like good mini games that you're bad at.
Hey! I won the flying game. All right, I can rise above the jank. How dare you, Stu? But outside, and I'm just giving examples of the bad ones. There's other perfectly serviceable games.
Okay.
There's like Keep Away, that sort of thing, and whatever. Anyway. But it's basically like a Mario Party game where it's like you have this overworld, you're trying to go to certain points of the map, you have items that you can use, but the items are somewhat interesting. You have in addition to I'm trying to think, in Mario you have coins, in this game you have keys, so you need like 40 keys to get a goblet, and you need 5 goblets to end the game.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So goblets are stars, keys are coins.
Right.
But people also have hit points on the map, which is interesting. And so it encourages violence towards one another. Like some of the items you can pick up is just like a gun, and you can, at the start of your turn, line up a shot if somebody's nearby, and then like take off like 5 or 10 hit points.
Yeah, there's a lot more blood in this game than Mario Party.
That's true. There's a exploding eggplant item where you roll an eggplant across the map wherever you want to, and then it explodes.
So it's worms.
Yeah, maybe without the land deformation.
I'm seeing a Bomberman like in here.
Yeah. So this is like a good alternative to those types of games, like the Mario parties and stuff like that, and it's on a platform that you can play with your friends.
Yeah.
I mean, in the sense that, like, I don't think many people play Fusion Frenzy anymore.
Well, I mean, it just couch co-op, even before the pandemic, was just kind of not a thing people did very much,
Yeah.
Like, having one of these that is built specifically to be played online seems like it makes sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very, it's fun to team up with people. It's, yeah. It was so I played it online with people. It was a good time. So yeah,
nice. Were you playing this with like people that you played Fall Guys with before, or like is this the more casual group?
It is whoever's in my Discord channel.
Gotcha,
so whoever's around and heeds the call, then they jump in and play. So,
nice.
It's mostly people from college though. Yeah.
Sounds like fun. Nice. I don't have any other questions about it. I had never heard about this game, and I'm kind of happy to know. Like, it might be a cool one for Duck Stream or something like that.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Nice. David, since you had thrown in with some Loop Hero stuff, it makes sense to segue over to you.
Yeah, so the main thing I've been doing is giving the Outriders demo a try. Have any of you played this or looked into it or anything like that?
This is it's an Overwatch alike, right?
More similar to Destiny.
Okay.
So it's pretty much a looter shooter. Basically the plot is that the Earth got jacked up by, I don't know, probably environmental destruction or something.
The way things are going,
Yeah. And so it launches, they launch at the last moment a colony ship with, some of the population to this distant planet. which is, and 83 years later, everyone opens up from cryo sleep, and you're one of the Outriders, who are the people that were brought along to basically be like, the military to, keep things safe and explore and stuff like that.
Okay.
But unfortunately, it turns out to be the planet from the cycle, and a anomaly storm anomalies on top of you, and wipes out most of humanity. And most people it just kills, but then some people, conveniently enough, including you, it gives Destiny style superpowers.
So it does not encase the people in foam.
I mean, that is one of the superpowers, but no, not generally.
Oh.
So, yeah. So, and then I guess, I don't know, there's stuff happens and things go to crap. There's actually a really interesting plot twist early on. And then you're fighting the bad guys. So that's generally the plot in like a nutshell without too much, spoiling.
So the bad guys has to be like indigenous life, because for a game like Destiny, there's no way you're going to manufacture enough bad guys out of the remnants of one human convoy.
That is not the case. However, that goes into the plot twist.
Oh, color me intrigued.
Yeah, so I don't know. Either like I can just say it, or we can just leave it. Whatever. Your guys' call.
I have no opinion.
If this is anything like Destiny, then the last thing you're here for is the story. So I say spoil it.
All right. So basically, what they do is, you get, you get like anomalied, and your character's in critical condition, and they put you in back in stasis to until they can fix your wounds. And then it's like, oh wait, no, actually it's been 30 years since that happened. And so basically a significant portion of the population was like born on this planet and, has no memory of Earth, are now adults. And it's kind of the upper class, like leadership command, sold out everyone else, who have now become kind of the barbarian hordes. And so you're basically fighting the people that are pissed off that they got woke up by cryo sleep and said, yeah, we don't have enough food for you. Sucks to be you.
You're fighting them.
Yes.
And not the people who created the situation.
So it's basically like half of humanity has basically decided like humanity's screwed, so we might as well just burn everything.
Party.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's pretty good. It's basically kind of like I said, it's Destiny plus lots more grimdark. Much more just, gratuitous gore and violence. A lot of your abilities, cause people to explode into kind of, clouds of blood, that sort of thing, or just like incinerate them into skeletons, those sorts of things.
It's Darkstiny.
Right, exactly.
That's not going to be a title, by the way.
I think overall, in terms of the storyline, things I'd say is definitely the character models, and in particular, like the facial expressions, are very well done, which is kind of surprising that would be something that they spent a lot of effort on, but it seems like they have. The other thing is, kind of like you said, this is a Destiny-like game, so you're not really here for the story.
Right.
But it does kind of follow, my rule of thumb of like, the one thing a game can't do with your character is just have them be boring. So it's a thing where like, none of the dialogue or your characterization is not particularly deep or anything, but it's at least fairly entertaining.
Can you elaborate more on that, please?
Just your you for example, one of the early side missions, you get in and basically a merchant is like, welcomes you in. It's like, oh, you're the chosen one. Like, let me, show you some awesome wares I've got. And then all of a sudden, someone like appears and kills them.
Mm-hmm.
And like and you basically, it turns out to be like the organized crime that's angry that he wasn't going along with their protection racket. And so you go to basically rescue them, or to take revenge, and end up finding that there's a hostage, and halfway through saying like, and this is for Chang, when the hostage just like grabs a gun and shoots the person.
Okay.
And your character just starts whining like, what? I was halfway through my line. I spent like the entire time walking over here thinking of what I was going to say.
Huh.
So it's like a Star Killer. Is that the? It's like a. Is it like a Chris Evans type character then? Is the main character?
Yeah, very much so. So I would say like, I'm not going to say that that's like a particularly deep or original thing to do of like, let's have the main character be snarky and funny, but that's so much better than just let's have the main character be like generic frowny white guy.
Yeah.
So other than that, the actual powers are pretty cool. The class I'm playing as specializes in the basically like teleporting and then slowing down time for enemies.
Oh. Wait, so
there's another one that is
I'm just going to say, taken to their extremes, those two abilities are indistinguishable.
That is true. And that's could be maybe that's their excuse. I don't know.
Here's a question. I can imagine how they do teleportation, probably like do it a little bit like Dishonored, right? Time freeze or time slow in a multiplayer shooter looter. How do they accomplish that?
So basically what it is it's kind of you create this like bubble where any enemy that enters it,
it moves real slow.
Yeah, moves real slow, and any bullets they shoot just kind of hang in the air.
Right.
But then, you're not directly affected. People outside of it aren't directly affected.
Right. Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
I remember that being like a problem, like in the Fear multiplayer.
Right. Yeah.
Just dealing with time sync kind of stuff.
Exactly. So other than that, there's one class that's like gravity powers and can also just become like tanky. There's a pyromancer class, and then kind of a sniper and turrets class.
Okay.
So so overall, it's pretty cool. I guess the last thing I'll say about the mechanics that's kind of interesting is each character class has a different way it heals. So the class I'm playing as recovers like 24% of its HP whenever you kill a enemy within like 10 yards of you.
Okay.
There's another class that I think just has straight up like life leech from your weapons. One's I think there's one where it's all AoEs, and so any enemy hit, if it then dies from any means, including like your allies, you'll get healed. Things like that. So it's very much encourages a aggressive play style.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I'm not sure about it though, is it has a full-on Gears of War style cover system, but it doesn't seem like they actually want you to use that.
I mean, if everything is based on do stuff in order to heal yourself and stay alive, taking cover is time when you are not healing. So
Right. So it kind of feels like it doesn't really want you to do the cover thing. But at the same time, it doesn't move fast enough to be like a Quake Arena style, just like move around at hyperspeed fighting.
right.
And at the same time, it's too fast to be the Destiny thing where you're like actively evading your enemy's weapons, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And so I'm not quite sure how they want you to play the game, or like what is the way to play the game that feels good. Like right now, it's pretty much just me running into close range and shotgunning enemies as quickly as possible, and then using my abilities and that sort of thing. It doesn't seem particularly intelligent.
Okay.
So that's my biggest concern. Is it seems like there's a lot of things in the gameplay that are very cool that kind of work, but it's not clear to me how the actual overall gameplay is meant to work.
Yeah.
Is there a chance that they're kind of watching how people play with this demo and figuring that out from what they see?
Sure, but they have till Thursday when it releases.
Oh, release means nothing. They can change everything,
True.
whenever they
Yeah.
want. Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if it's like, well, it will we're not really going to commit to any of these different ways to play. We'll have some systems that kind of pull against each other, and where people seem the most interested is where we'll build it out.
Yeah. Here's a question. That every class has a different way to heal things sounds really cool to me. Does that mean that there is no like strict support class? Is every class kind of geared around different ways of doing damage, or did they find a way to put a support class kind of like sideways in there? Because a multiplayer shooter game without a support class feels weird to me.
Yeah, so yes and no. Mostly the answer is no, there isn't. The sniper and turret character, has some heals, kind of is the support character, but it, at least to me, doesn't seem like that's particularly necessary. And it seems like it would be very, very easy to just like not slot in any of those handful of healing abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, the gravity manipulation class has a like one tank ability, and a number of their abilities. And I guess maybe this is the way to say it. Like with the tank class, like they have a number of their abilities where, as like a side benefit, it'll increase your armor.
Yeah.
But it's mostly things where it's like, do a ground pound and like kill a bunch of enemies, and for every enemy you hit, you'll also like get some armor.
Yeah.
Or with the healer class, it's the same thing. It's like for every enemy you hit, you might heal your allies a bit. So it seems like it does have that, but the support is incidental to just shooting things.
Yeah. It's like it just self buffs and group buffs attached to other stuff.
Right. Exactly.
Huh. That answers my question. I'm surprised to hear that it's darker than Destiny, given that, I mean, admittedly, all I've seen is like the graphical kind of just banner ads and headline images for articles and stuff, and it looks colorful at the very least. like it almost like a synthwavy kind of thing, but
yeah, it's interesting to see. I think some of that is, again, the plot twist, because like kind of the thing is, it's like, oh yeah, this is a new beginning, and we're not gonna jack things up the way we did on Earth, and then it's straight to like 30
immediately jack things up.
Yeah, it's 30 years later, and it looks like Gears of War.
yeah, Ron Howard narrator voice. They did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think there's some implication that because of the cycle, the humanity hasn't been able to leave like more than a tiny part of the level or of the world. And one of the resources that I haven't found yet and probably can't find in the demo, but is apparently a thing, is leather that says you can get from like killing animals. So I'm guessing maybe like partway through it's like, oh, we found a way to get out, and now we're to places that have colors other than brown.
Yeah. Huh. Have you played anything else besides Outriders?
So the only other thing I've been doing is actually not a video game, but I've been doing some pen and paper role-playing stuff with some friends.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
So we've been using the D20 Modern, and particularly its like futuristic expansions to do sort of a kind of sci-fi space opera type of setting.
Cool.
A little bit like a Urban Arcana in space, or like a Shadowrun in space type of thing.
Cool.
So we're playing as a kind of a group, a space circus that goes around, being kind of vigilantes. In particular, I'm playing as a sort of a kung fu luchador.
Okay.
Which is a lot of fun. Just doing lots of elbow drops on people, things like that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So far we have, let's see, we've broken up a drug ring where the drug in question turned out to be like some sort of mind flayer, like mind control juice.
Okay.
And then did a quest to escort someone to the Fae planet, where basically this. So basically, the short version is, the what is it, the Wizard of Earthsea books with the the true name based magic and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Basically, getting the Fae to help I guess a transsexual person switch to their new gender and use the magic of true names to straight up like wipe their dead name from existence.
Huh.
Which, I mean, more involved and somewhat more sensical than that, but that's basically what it came down to.
Yeah.
Which was, I don't know, kind of a interesting, take on some of the magic stuff. And yeah, other than that, yeah, I think right now when we left off, we are just like massively broke, and so need to figure out how to actually make some money.
Yeah.
That sounds sweet. Like, I've never like thought beyond D&D that you could do playing in other contexts, and like sci-fi sounds awesome. Like, it would be an awesome place to do that in. Do you have like books to go off of as far as like if you're doing like a dungeon or something like that, like things to fight and stuff like that, or is it all in the mind of the DM?
Some of both. So D20 Modern was basically used the same basic game rules as 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons, but applied it to a modern setting, and then also much more generic. So instead of the classes being like bard and paladin, stuff like that, there's one class for each of the main stats. So it's like fast hero, strong hero, dedicated hero, etc.
Yeah.
And then with that, they published a series of expansions. So, one was futuristic, one was cyberpunk, one was post-apocalyptic, past. So like historical settings, things like that.
Gotcha.
And it's kind of based around And I guess I should say there's also expansion Urban Arcana, which is basically ports almost everything from Dungeons and Dragons to a modern setting.
Mm.
And so it's very much designed to be, I guess, generic enough that you can do, come up with almost anything. And likewise, almost anything that's been published for Dungeons and Dragons, at least in 3rd edition, it's fairly easy to port over.
Yeah, and I imagine it's easy to pull stuff like, Pathfinder, because that also is kind of ported. Like, yeah, just the D20 system writ large is like a Rosetta Stone to bring, D&D style mechanics to whatever setting and whatever kind of story you want. And it's less about like checking against a book to see if something is valid or fits in the world, and more like just an ongoing agreement between the players and the DM about what's in bounds.
Exactly. They also do a really good job of, I guess, kind of hitting the, making things kind of elemental and iconic. So, for example, with the enemies, one of the enemies that there's rules for is what's called a boogeyman. And it's basically kind of a generalized take on like a slasher movies villain, so like a Friday the 13th or Jason, that sort of thing. Similarly, there's kind of a rules that's basically a generic like viral zombie, those sorts of things. So it's very supportive of, if there's something from pop culture that you want in your game, there's a good chance they've made something that kind of captures that idea.
I like the idea of like in the space setting of you can't kill the monsters until they have sex with one another.
yeah, as you do. Some of the others are like space doppelgangers, which are basically the monster from The Thing.
Mm. That sounds sweet.
Yeah, and this is actually the perfect segue into something I've been playing.
Segue. That makes sense, Dennis.
Yeah, so also a TT RPG, and also focused on playing a different genre than you typically find at the table. I've been checking out a playtest of a game called Enter the Survival Horror. And it is a TTRPG that takes a lot of inspiration from Blades in the Dark. It's actually created by a friend of the network, Adam Bucheri.
Yeah, Adam Bucheri is a really good illustrator. Some of the art for Bonfireside Chat. So the art for the Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne seasons, where it's Gary and I either as Dark Souls heroes or as messengers from Bloodborne. He did those covers for us.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Adam's a real cool guy. And
he's also a damn good GM and game designer.
Nice. Yeah.
So I just through random happenstance and connections kind of got into one of the groups that he was playtesting his game through, and we hit it off, and I have actually come back. I think we're headed into session like 5 or 6 now, and getting close to the end of the first module that he's designed. But this Enter the Survival Horror is a really fun game that captures kind of that Resident Evil or Silent Hill or pick your survival horror game ethos.
Nice.
In a really cool way. So like I said, I'm not familiar with Blades in the Dark, but apparently the game kind of cops from that. And then the specific module that he's designed for the first kind of iteration of it is very inspired by the Resident Evil games. So you're a special forces team that gets in over their heads trying to find another unit that apparently got lost in a mansion that no one knew existed in the middle of a spooky forest.
Yeah.
And there are evil zombies that start coming to life and other evil machinations behind the scenes. And you're trying to kind of get through the mansion with your friends and get out alive. And the group has been a lot of fun to play with. just from a role playing perspective, but then also just I think everyone is an equal level of down for being goofy and trying non-optimal things.
Okay. Being goofy and trying non-optimal things is not necessarily a universal good. Having your group be on the same page about that seems like the way to go.
Exactly. Like, yeah, it's, if everyone wants to be serious and crunchy about it, fine, chase your bliss. Just make sure everyone wants to be serious and crunchy about it. But we really enjoyed it. And like I said, Adam's done a good job leading the session. But so far I'm thinking of highlights of what we've done. The cool thing about the system is you pick several instinct pairs that are like, aspects of your personality, but it's two sides of a coin. So like you might have brains and brawn.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ways that you take damage is like emotional damage, and that's a part that you don't really see simulated in a lot of TTRPGs. It's all about HP. And so you can start kind of losing these aspects of your instincts to where, you're my character, I'm playing Jillian Andrews, which is like a Jill Valentine approximation. And early on, I lost some instincts related to like, I think it was, like your tact or, your subtlety or whatever. And so I just played it as like, I'm going further and further into responding to the unknown with aggression.
Nice.
And just getting, being the one who like flies off the handle and stuff. We at one point were cornered by an evil monster and literally dug a hole through the wall to escape.
Usually it's the monsters who punch holes through walls in survival horror.
Yeah. But it was like, okay, this is an old rickety mansion and we can tell we're on this external wall. Can we punch through this? And then succeeded on enough of the checks to barely get out with our lives. So that was fun.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I lost my question.
Oh, you're good. So yeah, I've punched holes in walls to escape scary monsters, fought giant plants with flamethrowers, and then probably the most brilliant thing, we knocked on some doors.
Ooh.
So we literally get into a new area. We've heard that there is a this like crazy person holed up in this one room, but the door to it is locked. And 3 of the players get into this like 5-minute discussion on, all right, well, can we breach the door? Like, can we pick the lock? Could we, do this or that? And the 4th is like, ooh, I got an idea. Knock, knock, knock. Hello? It's like, oh, right. This is a TTRPG. Like we can do we have more verbs to interact with this door than kick in.
Yeah. We're not limited to what like the video game version of this would be.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, this has been the most I've engaged with a tabletop role playing game. And it's been a highlight of my week as it goes on. So I don't know exactly what will happen once we reach the end of the module, but it has been a delight. And I'm excited to kind of see where the system goes.
Nice. No, that sounds really fun.
Yeah, it's I'm kind of glad I got in on it. As it's interesting because we'll show up every week and Adam will be like, all right, here are the rules that have changed, because he's actively tweaking things. But it's been fun to be a part of that process as well.
Nice.
Here's what you guys have broken.
Yeah. I mean, kind of, which is fun.
That's the reason you beta test.
So yeah, very, very cool experience and a fun kind of, like I said, the first module is very Resident Evil, but the system, especially with kind of the way it handles the kind of emotional damage and stuff like that, will fit really well into any video game in the survival horror genre.
Nice.
So it'll be cool. You get your fear, although that's not really survival horror. Get your Silent Hills and all that stuff.
Yeah. No, that's cool. He had talked to us about that. We just that it was in development, and I had been kind of keeping an eye on it out of the corner of my eye. It's cool to hear that you're having fun playing it.
Yeah. So, that's that. Any other questions on Enter the Survival Horror?
It's only slightly related, but it makes me want to play stories with you guys.
Play what?
Time stories.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Back in the day.
Once we're allowed to be together again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking about when we did the Lovecraftian module of that. What was the puzzle? Like each of the important cards had like a number on it or something like that.
It was some.
There is a pentagon at the end.
Yeah,
What's
I
that?
know that much.
yeah, that was that's the one that's packed in with the box.
Yeah. I just remember that being a huge eureka moment. Like, oh god, the combination's been on the cards the whole time.
We were the monsters.
Oh man.
What
else?
On the video game front, I've been playing 2 games. I finally got around to checking out Hollow Knight.
Oh,
which
dang.
is the cutest little Dark Souls game.
I mean, it's dark and moody.
Yeah.
It's also cute. It's nice cartoony bugs.
Yeah, everything is kind of little bugaboos, and the animation in this game is gorgeous,
Unassailable. Just some of the best animation I've seen in a video game.
I could watch it in motion all day. It is at this point in the game a little dark for my taste, and just that everything feels like it's in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten to areas that are slightly greener, but only slightly.
Yeah.
And I hope as I progress in the game, we'll see more color.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to hold my breath. It seems like a lot of this game lives very comfortably in black and white, or lives very comfortably in muted tones.
Yeah.
But you're a little buggy dude. You're working your way into this city called Hollowness that used to be this kind of big, cool place and has fallen into ruin. People have started disappearing in it, but there are these legends about kind of being able to find some kind of, your true dreams or treasure. It's Dark Souls level of vague, but you are jumping down into it to find out what's going on and kind of chase whatever obscure motivation you might have. The thing that really got me about this game is the way that it is specifically designed. The combat is specifically designed to punish mashing.
Mm-hmm.
Like every single enemy in this game, in some way or another, requires you to be very precise and patient in hitting your attack button. Whenever you attack, you kind of are knocked back a little bit, and whoever you're attacking is usually knocked back a little bit. And that does so much to sell you on how small everything is. Like, swinging your own sword knocks you back.
Yeah.
Which I think your sword is just like a little nail or something. It's very cute. But if you attack again immediately, you will swing and miss and will not be able to reset by the time the enemy has reached you. So you need to kind of pace out the attacks, which is harrowing in its own right. And what's very funny is as weird as it feels for me to, an enemy is charging me and I'm waiting to attack. I'm playing it with Luke and Milo, and they will like freak out on the couch every time there's a combat. Like there's I think it must be a very stressful game to watch because you constantly look like you're about to be hit.
Yeah.
And particularly the boss design is all centered around being just 1 inch away from being hit. Or these are bugs 1 micrometer away from being hit. Right.
There's nothing saying they're not human-sized bugs. There's no human stuff provided for scale. So
this game just got terrifying. Is that right? Well, again, I read his sword as a nail, so that would.
It's called a nail, but that's just all they call it.
Yeah, it doesn't. The design is not.
I don't know why I'm being like really pedantic about this. I'm just trying to say, don't be freaked out. Just think about it like humans.
This is important. I need to know how big these are.
Aren't all the weapons like that? Because the wasp lady has a sewing needle?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that might be it. All right, really, we need to pull the Mario comparison and use the size of a tennis racket versus the bulge in characters' pants to determine the length of Luigi's penis.
I'd rather we didn't.
I'm not making that up. That's a real thing that happened.
Good God. What about just a banana for scale here?
Yeah.
Psych, it's all in a banana. The entire game is contained in a banana.
Still got the skill.
But yeah, so that the combat design of like having to be very intentional and constantly being 1 inch away from being hit is a very rewarding experience.
Yeah.
My one complaint is I really don't like the feel of the jump. And the jump is as precise as anything else in the game, in that the second you press X, you're going to start moving up at the same rate, and then the second you let go, you're going to start moving down at the same rate.
Yeah.
But in that way, it doesn't even feel like a jump. It just feels like this vertical lift.
Mm-hmm.
And that allows you to do some very exact platforming, that allows you to make sure you don't jump too close to enemies. But it has this inorganic feel to a game that otherwise just reads very organically.
Yeah.
And that it just feels off. So the Mario jump, this ain't.
You're not the first person to remark on the jump feeling weird. I think that it's especially in service to later on, they're going to have you start doing some pretty intricate like Shovel Knight or DuckTales, Link's Awakening kind of stuff, where you have to platform by attacking down at enemies to bounce around and stuff. Like that's going to be a way that you get around certain areas. And I think that the added predictability of the specific kind of jump that they have is in service of that, but it's not going to shake that first impression or the pervading feeling as you get used to it.
Yeah, that's and there's a lot about this game that screams like more mechanics are coming that are going to justify it. Like I've walked past several places and been like, okay, that is very clearly a dash puzzle, where I'm meant to dash midair through some stuff, but I do not have a dash yet. So I have to imagine that or tools that accomplish something like that are on their way. Yeah. So that's Hollow Knight, and it's been a good Dark Soulsy experience. That again is just gorgeous. Like go look at screenshots of this if you haven't played it or haven't heard of it,
or put the soundtrack on.
Or I mean, it's a PlayStation Plus game, so you might have it for free.
Yeah.
But speaking of banger soundtracks, I'll bring up my next game that I've been playing, which is Hades.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
So am I the first person on the show to get to this game, or has someone else gotten there?
Ben, I think David did as well.
Okay. Yeah. So, this I couldn't resist its gravity for long, and it went on a sale, and so I just jumped in on it. And my God, the bass line that plays, and there's a bunch of different bass lines that play, but the way that the music drops to just the bass line whenever you finish a room, and kind of in between finishing the combat and moving to the next room, I just want that for my life in general. Like I want to finish a meal and have the drop into a bass line. It's so good, so incredibly good, and it's simple too. Like there's nothing fancy about what's going on there, but it captures the kind of soul of the game so well. So absolutely a soundtrack that I would listen to independently of the game.
How far did you got so far?
Yeah, I'll put it on the table. I've gotten to the end of the third area multiple times, but I've never quite been able to get past the kind of double boss that guards the end of the third area.
All right.
But I think the game it's been game of the year everywhere and indie game of the year, and so I imagine people are familiar, but has reads in a lot of ways like a roguelike, but just kind of eschews all the things that make roguelikes frustrating, and keeps the good stuff and adds lots of accommodations and interesting ideas that I don't even want to call it a roguelike. And I don't know if there's a better name, but just the kind of, there are procedural elements to the game. You are meant to kind of go through it multiple times as you're the prince of hell trying to get out.
It's structured around runs. Yeah,
structured around runs. You're probably the best roguelike thing that it takes is that you procedurally have options to grow your character. So it's not a linear upgrade tree. You're not going to have every upgrade available to you every time, but you'll get offered boons from different gods as you go through. And a lot of times you'll have choice between which god's boon you go towards. And then from that, they have a large pool of boons of which you'll get offered 3, and you pick the best of 3. And that, that process of, especially as you get better and the earlier areas get a little more trivial from a difficulty standpoint, kind of thinking through and making choices on the character build dimension is really rewarding. And I thought a lot about how it contrasts with Slay the Spire, in that in Slay the Spire, a lot of times you feel like you're not given good options. Like, I won't say more often than not, but frequently in Slay the Spire, the right choice is not to take a card that you're offered. However,
I would say I agree that that's my thought as well. But then if you watch like streamers play, like they'll do things that you wouldn't think of. But maybe that's not here. But
in Hades or Slay the Spire?
Slay the Spire.
Interesting. In terms of taking cards that might seem weak or what have you.
Yeah. Because I agree that I have that strategy. This is like a separate topic, but I just wanted to defend some of the better Slay the Spire players that do it on Twitch, that do crazy things that are not obvious.
I think, there is, I think in Slay the Spire, there's a lot of feeling of either A, none of these choices is good enough, I'm going to skip it, or B, like there is an objectively right choice for what I'm trying to build. With Hades, it feels like the guardrails are a bit further apart, and that there are more often multiple choices that are going to be viable, and it comes down to preference or what you feel like experimenting with on a given run. I haven't run into an ability yet that feels like it's a must take every time I see it, and similarly, I've never gotten a set of 3 abilities and been like, all 3 of these suck. So
specific, Hades, from my limited time with it, each of the boons that you are offered, like, you are guaranteed that there are going to be 3, each of which kind of supports or props up like a particular kind of attack or skill. So like one's going to be melee, one's going to be like a special attack, the other's going to be your ranged, right?
Yeah, it's
and they kind of.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say they kind of elaborate on what they did in Transistor, where it's like there's a lot of good like complementing features to the different boons. Where it's like, oh, if you get this one and this one, then this has a really sweet ability.
Yeah.
Like power up this ability and then take a boon that makes it hit twice when you attack. Or what have you. There are frequently boons that just kind of go into a general pool of upgrades and aren't attached to a specific attack. That can be really interesting and fun, but generally it's like, all right, at the very least I can slot in a boon to an ability that I haven't taken anything for yet, so you never feel completely stuck when you're looking at boons. Which a high skill player in any game like this is going to be able to more frequently find the good options or creative uses. It just feels like that is easier to do in Hades, and it's more forgiving. That said, you still kind of find those broken combinations or the things that just are really fun. Minor spoiler, I guess. Eventually, you unlock an assault rifle in this game.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw it, I'm looking at it and I'm going, oh, this is so silly. Like, my mind wants to read that as an assault rifle, but I can't tell what that actually is. I'll pick it up and figure, oh no, this is actually an assault rifle. So they just went there. They just did that.
So what are your favorite weapons? Because at least for me, the basic sword was, I think I unlocked the shield, sword, and bow, and the sword was the only one I could remotely figure out how to play.
Yeah, so my favorite so far is the shield. And specifically because you can kind of build your shield in a way that it does what a lot of the other things do. So, essentially it can be the sword plus knockback, and it can be the bow plus it like teleports you to where you're shooting and all this other stuff. So I've probably sunk the most time and had the most success with the shield. That said, every single weapon except I think the boxing gloves, I've had a run where it's like, oh, this can be broken. I can break this wide open with this weapon. Like, I can totally see how this weapon could just wreck shop. specifically one combination I found. There's an upgrade for the assault rifle, which I cannot believe I'm saying that in a game themed after the ancient Greek god.
Yeah.
Do you get an ACOG scope or something?
Kind of. Your secondary attack on that launches a grenade, but there is an upgrade you can take that turns it into launching a rocket. So again, makes all the sense in the world. I'm talking about mythology. Why not have fun? But so basically, what happened is like, oh, I'm going to do that, and I had taken some other boons that boosted your secondary. One of which was like you can fire it 3 times in a row. Which, when it's a slow moving lobbed grenade, okay, makes sense. When it's a rocket launcher, is just completely broken. And it's like, well, my secondary attack is now my primary attack. And I cruised through the rest of the run, at least to that third boss, using pretty much exclusively rockets, which is a great time. The other thing is, again, with the shield, you can bull rush with it, which knocks people into walls. And it has knockback in general. Poseidon, as a god, offers you lots of boons that have additional knockback, and then you can find an upgrade that deals additional damage when people are knocked into walls. And so I just got all of those stacked on top of each other for one run, and just played bumper cars the entire game. And probably like the greatest thing about it is like those 2 runs felt completely different. And that's I think a mark of the great design that it's won all the accolades for. That it's got these procedural elements while shedding a bunch of the things that make roguelikes frustrating. And there's a significant amount of just RPG progression to the game, which I actually appreciate. But there's a lot of different things you can do here from a play perspective that work and that feel fun in their own ways.
Can you elaborate more on like what you don't like about? Because I don't know enough about roguelikes to understand what you're referencing.
Yeah, I think the parts of roguelikes that I see Hades handling better than most roguelikes, we'll say, is the extent to which procedural generation is used. So it's not, there is some procedural stuff, certainly to the upgrade tree within a run. And then, the rooms can be laid out in different orders, but in general, each room is like a bespoke level that's not going to change so much. Whereas I think a lot of times in roguelikes, the procedural generation can just get a little out of hand in terms of rooms or spaces not feeling like they make sense or feeling like it's too arbitrarily difficult, based on how the tiles fall.
Gotcha.
The other thing is like a hard restart when you die. So first off, you can get multiple lives for a single run. They kind of bake that in from the start, and that's something where you can actually, I think, have up to 4 lives. You can die 4 times within a run without actually ending the run. So there's a major concession. And then when you die, you keep all the resources that you gathered that run and can spend those to upgrade your characters, advance the story, etc. You can actually upgrade the rooms you're running through to make it more likely that like a healing room will pop up and that sort of thing. So, hey, Shades of Loop Hero, we'll call back. So I think those are the 2 main areas that come to mind in terms of like roguelikes usually are a bit more punishing on those fronts.
Mm-hmm. I get what you're saying, where it's like, yeah, it seems like maybe some of the other games are like all random and there's not enough like, I guess, consistency.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. I guess the only other aspect, 2 other aspects. First off, the design on this one is gorgeous as well. And as muted as Hollow Knight is, Hades is equally in the direction of just being completely saturated and bright.
Mm-hmm.
Like particularly the second area almost it's hard to look at because it's Asphodel, I want to say, is the name of it. It's like a river of fire, and the entire screen is red. Like it is just all fire and blood, accented maybe with like yellow and bright pink. No,
don't worry. I was just laughing.
Okay, yeah. I was just, if you're anticipating my Danganronpa joke, then you good job. But yeah, there's a lot of hot pink in this game in different locations, either on enemies or literally. I was looking at the when the characters interact, it just has a portrait of them, and the Zagreus, the main character, just has bright pink highlights in certain places. Like it's very Hotline Miami in that way, the color scheme. So that's awesome. And then add to that the actual story that the game is telling, which I would say is kind of also a departure from roguelikes, where there's a very bespoke and intentional story that's being told that accommodates you kind of coming back over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all very well written with very interesting characters, and just a lot of heart to it.
It just seemed like a lot of fun for them to characterize and like write kind of sparkling dialogue for each of the different gods in play.
Mm-hmm. And there's a surprising amount of it. Like, I'm not seeing repeats yet, and I've been playing a lot.
Yeah,
it's very organic.
Mm-hmm. And I actually really like how just randomly you'll come back to your home base, and one of the characters will just be gone for that round. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if mechanically there's something that happens there, but really that, there will be just a little remark of like, oh, I guess he's off his shift, or I guess he's doing something else. And it's like, oh yeah, these characters won't be here every time. They've got lives. It's the tiniest touch that makes the game feel so much more, or the characters feel so much more real. And there's also a hilarious kind of break room atmosphere to it, where like you're chatting up the bosses that you've fought in the dungeons, between your runs, and kind of shit talking back and forth, which is hilarious.
Any particular favorites in terms of the characters, or ones you've given a lot of the, what is it,
Nectar of the Gods? Yeah.
Oh yeah, the nectar of the gods. So you can give gifts to everyone in the game. Let's see. So first gift was to Mom, to Nyx. Second gift was to the doggo, so Cerberus. Then I kind of rounded out everyone that was in your home base area. For the actual functional gods, I think so far I've gifted Poseidon, again for the knockback, and you get a trinket from each of the gods every time, or the first time that you give them a gift. So did Poseidon, did Aphrodite for status effect stuff, and then I did one more. I think it was Athena, but I'm not sure. There's the goddess of the hunt, Artemis, and the goddess of wisdom, Athena. I think I got that right, and I always get those two confused.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those are the ones I've given so far. I will say, from the coverage of this game that I saw in just like Twitter posts and conversations, it is orders of magnitude less horny than I thought it was going to be.
People bring a lot to it, I think. Yes, I think that it shows a lot of restraint in that area. And this is a game where one of the gods is just completely naked, so take that on relative terms. But the characters are all just very well rounded and not smirky towards the audience. Yeah.
And just feel, in general, the game just plays it very low key, which I think allowed everyone else to just pour their horny into the game.
I mean, it's definitely set up to be very shipping friendly.
Yeah, I think that is a great way of saying it. It's like it is shipping friendly without leering about it.
Yeah. Like everybody is like engaging and drawn to be attractive because they're gods, right?
Yeah, like it is totally justified.
And also, the Greek tradition, that's just the way it goes,
But yeah, I mean, everyone gets the same level of pathos, be it, the main characters like your dad Hades, down to like the rando that you sometimes pass going through, a level that can give you a little bonus health. Like there's just so much heart to the characters. And it really feels like the story is building towards something interesting, that has me kind of thinking, it's always fun to think about these games when you're not playing them. I'm doing as much thinking about what might be going on in the story as I am about different builds I might weasel my way into, which says a lot.
I think that's a part of why it got so popular, was it does have that kind of like crossover or breakout appeal. People who would otherwise not be looking into a roguelike would be turned off on that. Either would come at it for the art or for the story and characters, or, just because it has a good reputation, just to get kind of a broader spectrum of appeal.
I mean, I have to say, I went in very suspicious. Just, I think I went in with a chip on my shoulder to be like, all right, surely, like it's a little bit overblown. Like, surely it is.
It was talked up a lot.
With the design, or but so far it's delivered pretty well. So that's my first week with Hades, and I'm excited to see the end of the game. Although I'm sure that won't be the end of playing the game.
Right. Nice. I don't have any questions about that. Did you have anything else?
Those are my 3.
Yeah. And I don't have anything. I have just been head down both on beating Remnant for Bonfireside Chat. Just beat that today, and I have to beat Divinity Original Sin by Thursday morning, so we can record on it Thursday afternoon, and I can get the episode out on Thursday evening.
How far are you?
I'm in the final chapter. I am at Arcs. So, yeah.
There's hope.
Yep. No, it's just a week, it's a lot to do. It's a big game. So yeah, that's me.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Dennis, what's the question that you ask the nice people?
Yeah, so we're putting you in the role this week of a video game talent agency owner. Not for like esports competitors or for streaming, but for actual video game characters. And you've just signed one of your clients to the perfect endorsement deal. Who is the character and what is the product?
Yeah, and I'll get us started here with Devin, who says, Link, for a line of unbreakable dishware. The name familiarity alone will bring in millions. I assume they meant dishware. You just said unbreakable ware.
That would be excellent.
Yeah. Ben, what does Robert say?
Robert Noak says Doom Guy and Bounty Paper Towels.
Can't rip and tear these. David, what does Sean say?
Sean says Leon S. Kennedy endorsing incontinence pants for all those shit scary situations that he finds himself in.
Yeah, including in the sewers, which is ironic.
Outside matches in.
Yeah. Dennis, what's Mike say?
You ever have trouble getting last night's hunt out of your clothes? If so, it sounds like you need Arm and Kirkhammer detergent. It gets all those pesky blood stains out as and has you looking spiffy and ready to hit the town. Check us out in Central Yarnum, kitty corner from the giant crucified fucking beast that's also on fire.
Can't miss it. Oh man. Ollie says, you ever been wanted for the blah. You ever been wanted for the murder of your queen and possible lover? It's a common situation, and you're going to need to hide your face. That can lead to a myriad of skin problems. But what if I told you there's a better way? Hi, I'm Corvo Atano, and let me tell you about L'Oreal face masks. The new way to conceal your identity and refresh your skin, so you don't have to look like a weeper and be left an outsider. L'Oreal face masks, because you're worth it. Ben,
excellent.
Ben, what does Callum say?
Callum says Alloy from Horizon Zero Dawn for a hunting and fishing store. I like that.
Yeah, she can manufacture the lightning arrows on demand. Yeah,
It's really got that bespoke touch. Oh yeah, it's like, would she be better with a Bass Pro Shop or with an AutoZone? I'm not sure.
I was trying to think of a pun for it. Bass Pro is the best thing I could come up with.
Yeah.
No, Bass Program. There you go.
What? Let's see here. David, what does Owen say?
Owen says, Hi, I'm Geralt of Rivia, and I get all my equine equipment from Rein It In. Isn't that right, Roach? Roach? What are you doing up there?
Oh man. Dennis, what does Alex say?
Alex says, I want to see Captain Toad in a pair of Timberlands.
I don't get it.
Hell yeah.
Those boots? What are those?
Like hiking shoes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you see that's a lot of walking. Not a lot of jumping, a lot of walking. Yeah. Let's see here. There's a lot. I'm gonna do the okay. Rookie says, hello ladies, look at your man. Now back to me, back at him, back at me. Sadly, he's not me, but he could be cloned from me. Look down, look up, what do you see? You're on a battlefield with a man your man could be cloned from. Look down, look up. Now we're at a bar having Kettle One, like one of your Japanese animes. But after 400 years making vodka, Kettle One is branching out. Kept you waiting, huh? Look again. Your Kettle One vodka is now Kettle Beer. Kettle Beer? Kettle Beer. Now let's slake our thirst with this Kettle Beer. Slake? Slake! I'm on a horse that poops, is what he says at the end. And then also says bandana applied directly to the forehead. Kettle beer, kettle beer, kettle beer. Oh, man. Let's see here. Ben, what does Tyler say?
I have a much shorter answer. He says Kirby Tums.
Oh, man. It really helps you after you eat Ridley. Yeah.
And Case responds to that he feels that Kirby Pepto-Bismol would be more appropriate due to it being pink.
Oh, maybe that's what Kirby eats to go back to normal.
Oh, snap.
Huh. Let's see here. David, what does Phil say?
Phil says Sam Porter, cargo shorts.
Yes.
His cargo shorts just packed infinitely wide with all these cases. Yeah. And then
this is also apropos of a conversation about why people wear cargo pants in our Slack channel.
Because they are superior to all other forms of pants.
We want to hear your stories. Tweet with hashtag I wear cargo pants because.
I not at me. I understand. Sometimes you need to carry your Game Boy and your Game Gear. And my only word of caution is if you wear the pants with the zip off legs, so the cargo pants will turn into cargo shorts. Make sure that you always wash them together, otherwise they will be slightly different colors, and that is a bummer. Dennis,
how many people are affected by that, do you think?
Yeah. I just remember having those pants in 6th grade. Those pants are really funny to me. I don't know. And Dennis, round us out with what Sam says.
Yeah, he says, I would sign Takatoshi Hijiyama? Hijiyama, there we go, from 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, to endorse Yakisoba Pan. It's basically a giant mass of carbs, but I've been eating the best approximation I can make way too often since finishing that game. Got a carbo load when you hop through timelines.
Yeah. I'll do mine. Hi, I'm James Sunderland. You may know me from Silent Hill. We got a lot going on these days, and it's harder to get along than ever, but sometimes you just need to make it work. That's why I'm speaking for marriage counseling. I'm surprised nobody else did that.
Excellent.
But he's giving the marriage counseling?
Yeah. Hey,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
you learn from mistakes. Sometimes you make a really big one.
All right.
I say, not as I do.
Or not as I did.
Yeah.
Ben, how about you?
I am still scrambling to think of one. Okay. I don't have a good answer, so I'm going to say nothing this week.
Okay. David?
Yeah, I think I'd go with Sonic the Hedgehog endorsing some delicious golden onion rings at Sonic fast food chains.
You know what?
Oh.
I am really surprised that didn't happen when the movie came out.
Like there has to, at some point in their history, like Gravity has to have pulled those two together, right?
Maybe.
Or maybe it's like someone like on the marketing team for the fast food chain really has to stick up their ass about not being associated with the hedgehog.
Right,
and so
right.
it'll never happen.
Yeah, no, the brand has fought that battle for years. Yeah. Let's see. And Dennis.
Yeah, I'm going to say the Lil Nas X controversy that went down was just due to the wrong endorser choice. I think we need to pull Zagreus from Hades in to do the shoe with drops of human blood and pentagrams on them.
Yeah.
And I think those Nikes will sell infinitely better.
They're not Nikes. Nike really wants you to know that.
Yeah. I mean, they are Nikes. They were not customized by Nike.
Right.
Or something.
Yes. Huh.
What a world.
Yep. Cool. Well, good prompt, Dennis.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah. And if you would like to participate in these in the future, go to facebook.com/the level podcast and watch for the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons. The End Boss. Now it is time for the End Boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us. Dennis, what is going on with these cheaters?
Yeah, and not just cheaters, but the people who make the cheats that the cheaters cheat with, those cheat faces.
Okay.
There was a giant sting in China, and police moved against a company that they claimed was the world's largest seller of video game cheats. That's up for debate. But what's not up for debate is they seized $40 million worth of assets.
Wow.
Including a garage of high-end sports cars that, just looking at the image, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different cars in it that all look like they would put neighborhoods of children through college.
Yeah, they look like they came from a video game.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, this isn't somebody's GTA 5 account, right? These are actual things.
Yeah, those are actual physical cars. They have the kind of fuck you money where they can buy a car like that and then paint it to look like crap. So yeah, the Chinese police busted these guys who were running this millions and millions of dollar business of selling video game cheats. The company name was Chicken Drumstick, I guess, or at least the name they operated under was that. And this was interesting. I've never thought too much about buying video game cheats, but they sold cheats as a subscription service. So you would pay either by day or like by month, and we're talking like $200 a month for a subscription to their cheat programs, for everything from like Call of Duty, Overwatch, all the big names. And yeah, they got cracked down on. So they seized $46 million worth of assets, of which those luxury cars were just a small part.
So what is the consequences for this? Is it like off to the organ mills, or?
It's China, so I have no idea. Like that is, I hope not. Because even if you are a dirtbag that is selling video game cheats, you don't deserve to have what China tends to do to people it doesn't like done to you.
You don't deserve to be ground beneath the heel of an authoritarian state, no matter where it is, for something dumb like game cheats. I'm surprised the cops got involved. Like, taking money to violate terms of service seems like a weird thing to do like a huge sting about. Like, there has to have been other stuff going on, or this has to be like a publicity stunt that's like a sop to companies who are like concerned about other things.
I think there's at least some of that going on. Just because there's so many illegal operations that don't get eyeballs, but I think following the money perfectly justifies this, because if they're just seizing the $40 million, that is just a part of the money that is going through this organization. And if you're built on doing something that is kind of outside the rules, I would not be at all surprised if other illicit substances or operations got wrapped up in it.
I would.
So
Basically, what I would like to see is just a longer piece than even the BBC report that is brought here. It's very there's a paucity of detail.
Like who are these people? Some people who are technical geniuses write mods for Among Us. Some people make $40 million selling cheats.
Yeah.
I feel like if you have $40 million, couldn't you like relocate to someplace with less harsh sentencing?
That is a good question. But then they need permission from their parents because these kids are probably like 18.
Oh, these
16.
are kids. I didn't.
No, I'm goofing. I have no idea how old they were. But yeah, I mean, the way they painted their cars suggests a younger, less subtle audience,
or less tasteful. That yellow and green. Just hey, your car looks like Michelangelo from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's what that car looks like to me. Yeah,
I would bet that is literally a real life creation of a car they own in game.
He's the party dude. Yeah. I've got one real quick. This is just a follow-up from last week when I talked about the rumor that Sony was closing the PSN stores for PlayStation 3, PSP, and PS Vita. That has been confirmed. Sony has made the announcement that there will be no more new purchases after, let me see, what are the dates? So the PS3 and PS Vita stores close on August 27th. And the PSP store closes on July the 2nd. So this is a PSA. If there's anything you were thinking of buying that you wanted on your PSP or your PS Vita or your PlayStation 3, either get it now or look into modding. Because you won't be able to buy it again in the future unless they bring it out on something else, which is not a given, right? So I'm going to be grabbing a couple of things and we'll see how it goes. They have promised that people will be able to re-download and play any games that they have already purchased, which is good because that would be unfucking acceptable if they just took away your ability to download something that you bought.
So
how long do we think that'll last?
Oh, I don't know. Probably not long enough.
Yeah. Well, going back to last week's conversation, like we were speculating on how much technical baggage there is in just keeping something like the store up. It can't be that much harder to keep things available for sale if you're doing all the work to keep them available for download, right?
My only guess is that there is more that goes on in the background, specifically with license deals. This feels like a business and legal cost decision, more or administrative and legal cost decision than it does like a technical cost decision. Doesn't make it suck any less from my point of view, but like that seems much more plausible to me.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
The fact that you can still download like games that you've purchased here definitely takes the sting out of it, I think, for me.
Yeah.
I think that's the primary thing I was concerned with, but
yeah.
And to be fair, it only has to save enough for, some C-suite guy to get his bonus.
Yeah, and only for 1 quarter, and then it doesn't matter. Yeah. Let's see, Ben, what's going on with Rocket League?
Yeah, this is just like a small announcement. I guess all games are getting quote-unquote season updates, whatever that means. So there's another story about Fall Guys is getting an update. They're it's 80s themed, 80s futuristic themed is what it is. But I was going to bring the other story I had was for Rocket League. Their quote unquote season 3, even though the game's been out for 5 or 6 games.
Right.
Their season 3 update is they're bringing in NASCAR and Formula 1 for some reason.
Weird.
Because as everybody knows who plays Rocket League, it's really about the cars and how Rocket League relates to grounded racing like that. I don't know, whatever. It's new things that people can buy if they want, and that's fine. They have new tracks, but again, since all their tracks are uniform, it'll just be something cosmetic.
Yeah.
So, but that's cool. Whatever. Update's an update.
Probably a whale hunt kind of thing, maybe.
Yeah. The other thing I didn't realize too is I didn't realize that that Rocket League was made free to play. I guess this happened like a year ago or whenever, but
when it moved over to Epic, right?
I guess, because I don't think it 100% lines up with when it was bought, but
yeah,
I don't know, whatever.
Nice.
Anyway, I can still play Rocket League the way that I want to play, so none of this concerns me. So
bringing NASCAR to Rocket League, okay, whatever, cool. Bringing Rocket League to NASCAR.
Oh, hell yeah.
Don't toy with me, Kole.
David, you got a story?
I do not.
Attaboy.
I'm a slacker.
It's all right. Cool. How do you all feel about bundling it up? Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to level number 365. We really appreciate it. If you would like to help us out, you know what to do. Ratings, reviews on Apple Podcasts and whatever other directory you get us on. Patreon, going to facebook.com/level podcast, participating in the multiplayer. Yeah, it's all good stuff. Go get vaccinated if it's possible for you. I'm, sure if you're listening to this, you're probably clamoring for it. But it's the cool thing to do, and we recommend it. The arm pain is not that bad. So, is there anything I'm forgetting?
Don't think so.
Okay.
Get vaccinated.
I already said that. So yeah, I've been Kole Ross. You can follow me on Twitter at Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia. You can find me on Twitter at Deck of Wonders with underscores between the words.
I'm David Maysmith. Yeah, maybe find me. Probably getting vaccinated.
And I've been Ben Merkel.
And stick around for some titles. I have Necromancer's Own Bones, and I can rise above the jank.
I would feel bad if we did Necromancer. That's lifted directly from a Gary Butterfield saying owns bones.
Is it?
That's the first place I heard it. I don't know where he got it from.
No, I've
But
said
was it ever in reference to necromancers?
That part is not true. I just heard the owns bones.
That is not a Gary Butterfield original. We have said owns bones. I mean, I have heard owns bones elsewhere.
Yeah, that's an euphemism.
Yeah. Dennis, you got any?
I do. So I also had Rise Above the Jank.
Okay.
And then I also had Infra Penny.
Infra.
INFRA.
I just now got it.
Penny.
Fuck. I thought I missed something smarter than that because of a Discord blip. No, it was exactly what I thought it was.
Well, then you released the sequel, Infra Pound.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I'm so pleased with myself.
Yeah. Hey guys, we're ending the podcast and starting a new one without Dennis.
Dennis, I hope you know I'm going to go eat a chicken sandwich after this.
Oh, jeez. Did you have any others?
Those are my two.
Okay.
Done enough damage.
Ben, how about you?
I just have one. I have Anomalies on Top of You, and I really like that one.
Yeah, I've got nothing. I'm slacking 100% this week.
That's fine. Yeah. So, like the one that gets that gets it by votes is I can rise above the jank. However, Infra Penny got the most laughs, so I might put that in as a dark horse. Infra Penny.
I mean, I would be happy with that. I was also leaning to this Necromancer Owns Bones.
Oh man, we're split all over the place, I think.
I will take Infra Penny.
Yeah. How do you feel between Necromancer's Own Bones and Infra Penny, Ben?
I don't feel good, but that's okay.
What?
It's on par with our conversation at the beginning of the podcast.
David, how about you?
Yeah, I'm not stepping into this one.
Oh,
I'm
Okay.
doing the Switzerland.
in the
Are we doing a poll now this week?
no, just in the interest of getting to go play Divinity Original Sin a little bit before I go to bed, I'm gonna make an executive decision and say Infra Penny.
Good. Do it.
Okay.
Done.
I'm giving a thumbs up.
Cool. All right.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go and play some DOS and finish the spear.
I'm mid assault rifle run in Hades, so
Cool.
I'm gonna go do that.
I'm going to go to bed because I'm boring.
All right.
Excellent.
Later, everybody.
Well,
Bye.
All right, guys, have a good week.
See ya.
See you.
Wow.
Bye.